Hello, welcome to Calls with Your Kinky Bestie. I'm Emma. I am a submissive and mentor for fellow kinksters. This podcast is all about insights into kinky life and dating, sharing my personal experience and stories, and help share mindset shifts too to get you into a confident space, more confident than you are now. So get ready, it all starts now. Hello all. Okay, this is going to be a kind of personal one. I'm going to talk about how I met my partner, who is my dom, who's the person I'm always talking about when I'm talking about my dom or my partner. And I'm also going to talk about, because I recently launched a interior design program kind of around how to manifest your partner with your home, this kind of stuff. I'm going to share how my journey of meeting my partner intertwined with what I was doing with my home at the time, to kind of thread these dots together, because I know from the outside it might seem kind of crazy, but it's very, very real. So I'm excited to share all the things. The little caveat I do have is that my partner has asked for some privacy in this, so I'm not going to be sharing a ton of details about him. But I am going to talk about how we meet and what our relationship's like now and all that kind of cool stuff. So I actually met my dom on a vanilla dating app because he was vanilla when I met him. So we met on Hinge, which, I've used and met plenty of lovely people through other dating apps. So certainly, do what works for you. It doesn't have to be Hinge, but that's just where we met. We had messaged for a little while. I definitely don't still have the app downloaded to read you our first messages. But I was dating other people at the time, and our communication was kind of slow, because honestly, I wasn't super into him. The photos he had posted were kind of outdated on his profile, and there were some that were really goofy that totally made me smile and stuff. But he just wasn't someone that I was super typically attracted to. So yeah, I was not super invested. Things kind of moved slowly, but he was persistent guy and kept reaching out. We ended up scheduling our first date at this really cool, we went to this speakeasy in our town that he'd never been to. So I was excited to I'm always excited to share that with people. I think it's always really fun to have a kind of secret spot that you can share. It's definitely I know, it's fun. You feel very cool, letting people in. And it was so funny because so he actually picked me up for our date. I was living in a studio apartment at the time, and I was in college, so it was really kind of right by the campus. And that's not something I always let people do. Usually I kind of insist to meet there for the first date. And I don't remember how that came about. I don't think it came with much friction at all. I think I just had this feeling of trust around him. And I am a really intuitive person. I tend to trust my gut feelings around people, and it tends to go well for me. So yeah, I was okay with him picking me up, with him taking me there. But yeah, I was living on the studio apartment at the time, so I didn't let him up. It was kind of, in a college area, so it's a little crappy. But so he picked me up. We went to this date spot, and it was a speakeasy, right? So, and this was so funny. I'd never had this experience there before. But we got to the doors, and they asked oh, have either of you been here before? And I said, oh, I have, but this is his first time. And the hostess kind of turned aside and was is he cool? Can we trust him? Can we let him in or something? It was just really funny and cheeky. And it really led into the speakeasy easy vibe, which was cool. So we went on this little date. I had actually just returned from a trip with someone else I was dating, like in another state. So I had like, just gotten back the day before and was kind of feeling groggy and weird for my trip. But yeah, we were at this bar now. We each got our drinks. I got something wild and strong, and either this was his first drink or my second drink or something. But they had a drink at this bar called Glass of a Hot Girl's Bathwater, which is just very fitting if you know me, because, I'm very into bathing. I'm always taking crazy baths and, taking pictures of the bath art and stuff. So it's just really funny they had that. It actually had like a little rubber ducky the drink was served with. But it was just like a mellow, low-key date. My partner is like pretty introverted, and I tend to not be that way. Like, I'm definitely on the extrovert scale of like, okay, I need downtime to recharge, but like I can still act very extroverted. When I'm meeting new people or when I'm super in my comfort zone, I can be really extroverted too. So, I was definitely the talker, and he was pretty low-key, pretty mellow. It's kind of hard to place a finger on what was going on with him, but we ended up chatting about this little rubber ducky, and I couldn't tell you the name of it, but he shared something like, oh, there was this wild experiment where this guy like released like hundreds of rubber duckies into the ocean and then like tracked where they all ended up and stuff for like science reasons, but it also just kind of became like a weird cultural thing. And I don't know if I'm totally butchering the story or what it even is, but I just, distinctly remember that being like a big topic of discussion at our date. But yeah, I had just come back from a trip. I think the person I met with actually got me sick. I was really sick the next day, but that night I didn't know what was going on. I just kind of felt a little crappy, and I just thought it was a drink. And I remember being so hungry, and we had talked so long, we were there pretty late, that, I had tried to order food, but the restaurant was closed, and he really wanted to make sure I could get fed. So we ended up going to a pizza place afterwards. But even this pizza place, which was open super late, like it was too late to eat there. So we could only get a pizza to go, and we ended up actually eating it in his car, which is just like a whole other funny part of the date. I remember at the time thinking like, wow, I just really can't place a pulse on this guy. He's so quiet. I feel like I'm doing most of the talking. Like, is he even into me? But, in hindsight, like, he really didn't want the date to be over. He wanted it to keep going. So, like, even in driving me home and stuff, like, he would ask, like, hey, is it okay if I, take this back way or take an extra lap so we can keep talking and listening to music or whatever we were doing? And that was really sweet. It was also just funny eating pizza in his car. Yes, he didn't want his car battery to die, so he pulled out he's such a little dork, I know now, but he pulled out a headlamp from his toolbox. So he put it on the dash of his car, so that's what we were illuminated by. It was just, I felt sick the whole date. And he wasn't talking a whole lot, and I wasn't exactly sure what was going on, but whenever he did drop me off, he he tried to walk me to my front door or something. I think I was a little drunk, so I think I was like, oh, let me show you my dog, and maybe I brought my dog down to meet him or something. I'm not 100% sure on that. That might not have happened, but that kind of feels like maybe it did happen. And we kissed, and I just remember being like, yeah, what the heck? Like, why are we kissing? How do I feel about this? Because I just wasn't sure if he was like even into me. Or if I was super into him either, because like I didn't have like a ton of information about the kind of person he was. Like, I know I felt comfortable to be around him, but I didn't have like all the facts yet. Things like that. And yeah, he's definitely not someone that I was like used to dating either. Like, his appearance is very different from like, people I dated recently and stuff like that. So there are just things like that. We have, an age gap. He's a good bit older than me. I don't know. Is he a decade older than me? Maybe not quite. Maybe not quite that much older than me. All right, sorry, now I'm just like trying to do the math in my head, but I don't know, I'm a little phased because I've just been talking about other stuff for a minute. Yeah, so we had that age gap, and I thought it was a little strange that, like, he was so much older than me, but he was still in school and like finding his passion and stuff. And now I think that's so fucking cool because I'm just proud of him for going back to school and doing the things he wants to do, because that he really found his passion in doing that. So that's really cool. He's about to graduate soon, which is exciting. And he, has gotten a job offer in the career he wants to go into. So yeah, I'm just so super, super proud of him. But that's what our first date was like. Okay, whenever I get back, this might be a longer episode because I could talk about my partner forever. But okay, whenever I come back, we'll talk about, what happened after the first date, how we kind of got together, where we are now, and how like apartments tie into that. So chat soon.
Just a little break to share that if you are loving this podcast and my content, if I'm someone you could see yourself working with, but you're wanting more direct support for your specific situation, I do offer mentorship. It's personalized to you, private video or phone calls with me, so you can chat about your situation and figure out a solution that's going to work for you. You can visit my website. It is kinkybestie.com/mentorships to see what's available and to book in your spot on my calendar. It's kinky with a Y at the end and bestie with an IE at the end. The link will be in the show notes, so you can check it out there. Back to the show.
All right, we're back. So, like I said, we met on a vanilla dating app. I knew he was vanilla. I certainly did not bring up kink on our first date, or at least I don't think I did. I was a little sicky. But that was what our first date was like. The next day, like I said, I had just traveled to meet someone, and I think they got me sick. So the next day I literally like projectile vomited all over my home. It was such a gross experience. And yeah, I remember being so worried, hoping I didn't get him sick, because this was like the most horrible sick feeling I'd ever had. It was really rough. And from there, we had a couple different dates. We had, I got to know him a lot more, and slowly, shared that I'm a kinky person. And in that process, I learned, okay, he's never done anything like this before. I also learned, though, that he's, very open and accepting of, whatever I shared with him, at least. I didn't have, he wasn't reacting in a judgmental way. It was just oh, wow, I've never heard of this before. This is all new to me. I've never done anything like that, kind of thing. And when we did eventually get to the point of, having intimacy with each other and stuff, I remember thinking, oh, this is so boring. I could cry. And, once actually crying after we had sex. Sorry, baby, if you're listening. I think I did tell him that. But yeah, just thinking hey, this isn't my speed, but he really just kept showing up for me, and being so supportive of the person I was, that I decided to stick it out, because I knew that something was different. I knew that part of the kind of boredom feeling I was experiencing was not because he was a boring person, but because I was traumatized with some crazy dating experiences, because I was used to I had some early life trauma things happen, and that had really affected my dating journey to that point. And I had really dated some chaotic people, and I was just used to the roller coaster. So the walk in the park started to feel a little odd. So it was a transition for sure. Therapist supported also for sure. And yeah, it's just a totally different experience. So eventually we did start incorporating, kind of one kinky thing after the next, during sex, which really changed things, and really made me, feel a lot more engaged during sex. and, eventually able to orgasm and stuff like that with him too, which is fucking awesome. I don't know if I meant to share this much detail, but here we are. And yeah, it just kind of grew and grew. I definitely glad that I stuck it out, because I definitely had some like unsure moments at the beginning, just because he's not usually my type. I wasn't totally sure if our communication styles are very different, because he's very mellow to start out. I definitely learned like throughout our time together that some of that is just like the comfort level on his part. Like he can be a lot more communicative, like verbally, once he is comfortable with you. So that really helped a lot. And also just like he doesn't always communicate verbally. Like some things are different for him. He is a big like actions guy, which is awesome. And yeah, it's just a different experience all around. And yeah, my attraction for him just grew and grew. And I am really fucking into my partner, by the way. I know it definitely sounds like the first few dates I wasn't. And that's because like I wasn't really then. It totally came with time. Oh, and then how that's related to apartments. So, okay, so we had our first, few dates. I was living, on a college campus in a studio apartment. So sleepovers were kind of hectic. There wasn't a ton of room for him when he was there. And he was actually also living with kind of a difficult like roommate situation. So I was really only able to go over to his space whenever he did not have his roommate there. And we both kind of moved around the same time. So I actually, then in visiting his place at the time that he was sharing with a roommate, I really liked the area. Like something about it just felt so like, oh wow, I could have my dog here and it would be nice. Because there's all this greenery. I was used to living on a college campus where like it was sidewalk everywhere you turned. Lots of frat houses around. So, like even like broken beer cans on the sidewalk sometimes. So I have to be like really careful about where I took my dog, and sometimes I'd even like put boots on him and things like that if I couldn't fully see where the glass was in certain weather situations. And yeah, it was just kind of a stressful situation, and also not super conducive to having a partner, because I don't really have space to share with them totally. Like I did have some space, and it worked really nicely for like our sleepovers at like first initially dating and stuff. But like, as our relationship grew, like I wanted us to be able to have like more time together in each other's spaces, longer term sleepovers and stuff. And that just like the apartment I was in was not set up for that. So I decluttered the shit out of it. My apartment searched for a while, and yeah, in meeting him, I was introduced to that area of town where I'd never been. Started apartment shopping there and found a really cool spot that was actually within walking distance of him at the time, which was cool. So yeah, for a few months we were able to like meet up and actually walk our dogs together. And so we do that throughout the week. It was really special, like really unique. And in having this bigger space with like its own bedroom and stuff, like I think it was actually the week that I moved into this space that him and I made it official. I kind of had a little bit of a stressful moment because there was, I guess, like a gap in the leases. So when my last lease ended to when this new lease started, I had like a week or two. So I stayed with my parents, who were like a little bit of a ways away, and that was a really stressful situation being with them. Mostly because I was living with my dog, and they just, aren't used to my dog, who is really ready to run out a door the second it's open. So there were some stressful situations with that and boundaries that need to be set and stuff. So I was really glad that I, had he wasn't my boyfriend at the time. He was just someone I was dating who was really grounding, to be able to kind of support me through that, and just ground me in like, hey, you're moving so soon, and we'll be able to spend so much time together, and it'll be awesome. And then, I moved really soon, and we were able to spend time together, and it was awesome. So, and then ironically, pretty shortly after I moved to be super close to him, he needed to get out of his roommate situation, so he moved a little bit of a ways away from me. It's still not too far, but it's not walking distance. So I'm always telling him he needs to move back closer because I love my spot now. But where things are now, so we've been dating for over a year. I don't know exactly how much over a year. I'm trying to do the math, but I'll just stop there because I'm not going to be able to do the math right now, anyways. So yeah, we've been dating for at least a bit over a year, and it's been really nice having my new big space to share with him. Like we have sleepovers all the time, and I've got a beautiful big bed that's very comfy for us to share together. We each have dogs, so it's really nice being able to get our dogs together too. And obviously our kink has grown a lot. Like he has totally become kinkified over the past year. It was so fun because I often don't have high expectations when I meet vanilla people, because honestly often when I meet vanilla people and share my kinks with them, like there are some things that they kind of get on board with, but there's a lot of things that like I face like judgment around, like a lot of like, ew, like why would anyone ever do that, like that's so fucked up, not with me kind of thing. Like sometimes people like go along with my kinks, and then like afterwards they'll tell me like, oh, actually I thought this was super weird and I wasn't into it, which is always like hurtful and like, dude, why would you go along with something that you were not into? That makes absolutely no sense, and it's like the opposite of the point of kink communication and consent and things like that. Um, so there's like a lot of self growth people have to do to really get into kink in like a good, healthy, engaged way. So but what's so lovely with my partner is every time I share a crazy quirky thing, he's really quick to say, oh, I want to support you in that, let's figure out ways we can introduce it. And also if it's not something that he's into yet, he's also very transparent around like, hey, that's not something that I'm into, so I want to like limit like my engagement in XYZ ways, but I still want you to get to experience this thing. So I think that is super freaking cool. Sorry, I'm getting a little notification. I should have turned them off. But yeah, our kink journey has grown a lot. Having our lovely spaces has been really conducive to spending a ton of time together too. And yeah, I just can't get over the fact that literally the week I moved into a big enough space to share with a partner was the week that we ended up getting together. And a big part of that was a lot of the prep work I did in my old space. Like I had to do a lot of mindset work around like, okay, I'm worthy of having a partner, so I'm worthy of having a space that a partner can share with me, and doing a ton of decluttering and prepping and planning to get to be ready for that, but then also like taking the actual action to do that too. So it was all super cool how it worked out. And yeah, things just keep going up and up and up. If you're listening to this in current time, you know that the Barbie movie came out recently, and that's been like the big cultural moment. So my partner and I are actually about to go watch that today. I'm super excited, and it's also so fun that like he was actually the one like driving this. Like he really wanted to see Barbie, which is fucking awesome because yeah, of course I want to see Barbie too. I'm a little, so we're gonna go to a movie theater with heated seats. I'm so excited, and yeah, it's just gonna be a really fun experience. I love watching our relationship grow. I love seeing where it's gonna grow. And another fun piece with like where we are now is we often talk a lot about like what the space is going to be like that we're going to live in the future. So I'm really committed to like having kind of my own space no matter what. Like I do have those extroverted tendencies, but I do need a lot of downtime to recover. And also just I like having my space a certain way that a lot of people don't. So I just always want to be able to have my own space to do that. So we talk a lot about, okay, our future place is going to be a duplex. So we'll have like a connecting door, but our own living spaces. Because, we also have different dietary things. Like he's a vegetarian and I'm just totally not. So, he wanted to have, well, first he asked me if I'd be open to having a vegetarian kitchen. I said no. So, we'd like to have our own kitchens and our own sleeping spaces someday. And some other lovely shared spaces together, but like I know that I always want to have my own bedroom. Like that's just the sleeping arrangement that works best for me. Like I like sharing occasionally and having a bed big enough to do activities together, but most of the time I like sleeping on my own. It's what's best for my sleep routine and all that kind of stuff, especially because with ADHD it's really easy to insomnia is definitely a thing, especially if you're around stimuli. So I totally think having another person in my bed is very stimulating. And sometimes I have a hard time going to sleep just knowing that there's like another energy around me. So having my own space to decompress and rest is very crucial to how I sleep and all that good stuff. So if I am an interior designer and I am a kinky person, so I do have a program where I teach people how to do this, how to manifest their partners with their physical spaces, and like really create a physical space that like makes sense for their lifestyle and goals and all that kind of stuff. The program's called Bagua for BDSM. There's a little bit of a feng shui edge in there, so if you don't know what Bagua is, that is totally freaking cool. It's not really important that you know it. It's just another little tool I use to get you thinking about your space in a different way, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can check it out on my website and book in for that. It's a really fun program where you actually work live with me. And we have video calls chatting about your space, looking at your space together, and like, creating tangible next steps for you to attract your dream dom with physical space. It's just for submissives. That's just what I work best with. And it's a really great program if you have ADHD and struggle with like home management stuff, because I also have ADHD and struggle with home management stuff. So in being a designer, like there's so many different like ways that I've hacked that and pieced that together so that I'm actually able to manage my home with my brain in a way that makes sense and like works. So I am super passionate about sharing those with other people. But also like, that the part of the reason why this program is live is because, everyone's ADHD is different and just everyone's brain is different. So the ADHD thing that works for me might not be the perfect solution for you. But because I've got, this designer brain and background, and getting to talk with you, then we're able to then find solutions that will do it in your way. So it's super fun. Highly recommend it. Share it with your friends. The link is in the show notes of this podcast as always. And yeah, thanks for listening in. I had a lot of fun. I always have fun sharing about my partner. This is a longer episode than usual for that. And really, I could go on and on. So I will stop here. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me this episode. You can follow the podcast on the platform where you're listening to get updates with new episodes. You can follow me on social media at Kinky Bestie. I'm on Instagram. You can also check the show notes for any links or resources that I talked about in this episode, or just more ways to connect with me. And please share this with your kinky friends who could benefit from this type of content. There is also an option for each podcast episode to engage with Q&As or polls. So I'd love to hear from you and create future episodes around what you want to chime in with. So please check those out in the show notes too. And I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.